Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I am John Clark, and the Eagles, they're coming off a bad loss. First time they've lost to a team with a record of 2-9 or worse in 25 years. And now they're facing another 2-win team, the Giants. But the Birds have beaten the Giants 5 straight times and 9 of the last 10. And the offense got going down there in Miami. Let's take a look at what Carson Wentz did well in this game. Here's our tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's with Fran Duffy and Ike Reese.
All right, Ike, well, last week we took a look at the Eagles' defense, and yeah, they took a little bit of a step back this past week against Miami. On the other hand, the offense really got things going in the right direction. 31 points here, the first time in a couple of weeks they've cracked the 30 mark on offense. So let's take a look at the performance of quarterback Carson Wentz and, how he looked in this game. To me, I think you go back to what Doug Peterson has said in press conferences over the last few weeks, where he said, for Carson Wentz, let the offense play for him. Take what the defense gives you, allow the scheme to work for you. And I thought he did a good job in this game of just hitting the checkdowns, getting late into the progression, and allowing the offense to work for him.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure for Carson, it was great to have some of his starters back out there, really. Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey back in the mix. That certainly helps out your quarterback. And down here, you watch him in the red zone. I love the way he goes through his progressions here, right? And you talk about Carson allowing the offense to work for him. He's going to look to his right over here first to see just how Miami is going to play against Alshon and Nelson here. Doesn't like that jam there, knows this guy's playing over the top, and you got the safety cheating over here a little bit. So he's going to come off of that quickly, goes back to the middle of the field, sees the Zach is jammed up right there, and you got Greg Ward covered there. And then the fact that he doesn't panic, knows he has his drop off there with Miles Sanders in the flats, takes his time, makes a throw out in front of him, hits Miles Sanders in stride. Easy walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, and I think when you look at a guy like Carson Wentz, and you look at all of the top young quarterbacks in the league today, the Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson in the years past, these guys all have the ability to create outside of structure. So in that play, Carson plays within the concept of the play. He goes from progression to progression, waits for his man to open up, and gets the ball out quickly. But in today's league, you've got to get yourself out of trouble as a quarterback, and that's one of the things Carson has done such a good job of, and we see that here on the touchdown pass to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, you've heard me use this term before, phrase, let the Bronco buck, and this is what I mean by that. His athletic ability is paramount in today's football game. Sometimes the defense is going to win. They have great athletes over there. Guys are going to be covered, and you're going to have these guys up front at times who get past your offensive line. You're going to need a quarterback that has the ability to extend the plays with his legs, not necessarily looking to run all the time, but extending the plays and allowing guys to get open. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside right here covered on this play, but because Carson is moving the pocket, now the defender has his back to the quarterback, and J.J.'s able to uncover. Carson showing trust in him, gets in the ball, delivers a strike right in his chest.
Yeah, until these young quarterbacks have that mental capacity, they've seen all the defenses, what they're going to throw at them from a schematic standpoint, these guys have to be able to get out of pressure. If they can't do it pre-snap mentally yet, they're not Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, they're not at that stage, you've got to be able to escape pressure. Otherwise, you're going to be a sitting duck there in the pocket. So when you look at some of these young guys I brought up, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, those guys take a lot of sacks as well. And so I think that's kind of the other side of this coin. When you have a young quarterback who has that mobility, you're going to get plays like this on that touchdown to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, but you're also going to get a play like this. This is late in the game, 2.5 minutes left. Every second is valuable here on this play. You don't want the clock to be running. He's going to roll out on a little sprint play, hoping for Greg Ward to open up. That's the one read that he needs, and Greg Ward is unable to get separation at the top of this route. So by the time Carson Wentz gets to this hash mark, he has to wait, and he knows that Nelson Aguilar is going to break open from the backside, but he's got so much faith in himself. We've seen his ability to make those second reaction plays. He holds on to the ball a little bit too long here and ends up taking a tough sack.
Yeah, and here's the thing that he's going to learn with the experience, right? Obviously, time and game management, knowing where you're at on the field and where you're at and throughout the course of the game. But here's the other thing he's also going to recognize as he gains experience. This is a 3-man route. The Dolphins basically have 6 men, 7 men dropping off in coverage. So You just don't have enough people in coverage to get open. It's a great defensive play from the Dolphins, and Carson will understand that sometimes you just got to give up on a play and live to fight another down. Fortunately, this didn't turn into a turnover, but it's certainly a play that could have, as he was sacked here and the ball came loose. Once that play is dead, he has to realize right now it's only second down. Get rid of the football.
Throw it into the third row.
Yes, and you live to fight on another down. Play clock stops, and you have third down there to make another decision. But like you said, Fran, guys with this much ability, you named some of the best young quarterbacks in this league, they all have to fight that urge of trying to do too much at times and knowing when to pull back. It's a blessing and a curse to have the talent level that these guys have at that quarterback position. As they gain more experience in this league, they understand when to put that talent on display and when to harness it.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it. All right, Mike Quick joining us now, and let's talk about Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks. They both got their long-term deals locked up together for at least the next 5 years, the right side of the line, arguably the best in the NFL. We saw against the Dolphins, what you're going to see going forward. They protected Carson Wentz better in that game.
Yeah, and it's a big deal to have the right side shored up. It all begins with the offensive line, the bigs. Everyone wants to see the little guys and them score touchdowns, but they get none of that if the bigs don't do what the bigs do. I think it's a big, big plus that for the next few years, the right side, it's shored up.
Yeah, it has to be a peace of mind for the quarterback. I mean, as a quarterback, you want to know that you're going to be protected up front. That gives him the comfort level of sitting back there, being patient, having time to find guys down the field. And I thought that's what you saw Sunday as well, is the quarterback certainly felt more secure knowing that he had his starting five in front of him. Right. And they did a great job of protecting him.
And when you see going forward, you're looking at quarterback, offensive line, head coach, and it seems like the Eagles have stability with that going forward.
Yeah, and that's what you need when you want to start to build a strong foundation that can sustain success, right? You want to make sure you start your team built within the trenches. You got to have a franchise quarterback. You got to have a head man, the face of your franchise as a head coach, a guy that you believe in, and it certainly helps to have a strong front office that can put the pieces around those guys that are going to allow them to be successful. It's the reason why, since Jeffrey Lurie bought this team, that this team has been in good standing. They don't have very many bad years because those key components have always been in place.
And if you look at this team over the past years, the years that Ike's talking about, the offensive line play has always been really good. When you've got that stability up front and you have your quarterback now in place, you can do some things. I was a skilled guy, but skilled guys you can get. The bigs you have to really build the foundation.
And don't forget about the two young players that you have on the left side of the line that are going to grow together. Isaac Seumalo and Andre Dillard once he's out there as the left tackle, once Jason Peters retires. So you're looking at an offensive line, depending on how long Jason Kelce decides he wants to play, that can be together and have that cohesive unit that gives the quarterback, the head coach, and everyone confidence on that side of the football.
Enemy Intel is brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics at Jefferson Health, the official orthopedics and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Eagles' offensive line and the offense in general will face a very interesting test this week against the Giants' defense. Now, a lot of the numbers are not very good, that we know, but you have to look at what the opponent does and the schemes and the tactics. And James Bettcher, the Giants' defensive coordinator, has been in this league for a number of years, so he has a philosophy and a track record. And one thing that always stands out with the James Bettcher defense are sophisticated and detailed pressure concepts. Pressure concepts that come both out of their base 3-4 front and pressure concepts that come out of their sub packages. Let's start by taking a look out of their base defense. And this is a really good example because one thing they do a lot of is post-snap movement. And post-snap movement usually involves your defensive line slanting one way and a second or third level defender working off that slant. And that's exactly what you see here. You see the slant and you see the free hitter. Here it's linebacker Alec Ogletree. And Ogletree has very good downhill speed. He gets a free run at the quarterback. So that's one thing you have to be careful of. That's in their base defense. And keep in mind, not a lot of teams have a lot of sophisticated pressure looks from their base defenses. James Bettcher and the Giants do. Now let's take a look at their sub front and their sub pressure packages. One thing you will see from the Giants is they'll take defensive ends and use them as stand-up jokers, linebackers behind the defensive front. So these are players now you have to identify. So what you get is you get a slant and you get the pressure behind it. So again, you get a free runner at Sam Darnold. And this is what the Eagles must expect this week. Because one thing about James Bettcher, this defense may give up big plays, but he's not conservative. He will not back off. He will continue to challenge an offense. And the Eagles have to be prepared for that. There's an opportunity this week to make some big plays in the passing game. Let's hope we can see that.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, the Giants have given up 14 plays of 40 or more yards. Nobody's given up more in the NFL, so big plays could be there, but you have to protect Carson Wentz. Thought the Eagles did a decent job of that, a good job of that in the game against the Dolphins. What did they do, and what do you have to look out for?
John, it all begins with the protection. If you don't have that, you have nothing. And we've shown how the Giants like to stunt. They like to bring it up front. And the key to protecting when they're bringing it up front from all these different angles is first, the communication. You have to have a clue as to where they're coming from. Watch how well these two guys, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, they do such a great job here of passing off the stunt. These two guys, they can finish each other's sentence. This is hard to do. When you've got one guy looping in, the other guy looping in, you've got to pass him off. They don't give any ground in passing him off, and they're able to keep the pocket clean, make it clean for Carson Wentz to throw the football down the field to Alshon Jeffrey. That is so important. They're going to see a lot of things like this against the Giants. Bettcher, their defensive coordinator, that's what he likes to do.
Is this something these teams are seeing on tape, maybe from the Patriots game, about stunts and how that has been effective against the Eagles line?
Well, and that's how you win up front. If you can't just overpower guys, you have to come up with stunts, twists, and coming from different angles, that's how they're able to penetrate that pocket. But if you know how to pass them off, if you're really good at it, it's going to leave a lot of time for your quarterback to find targets down the field.
All right, the Eagles face some tough matchups against the Dolphins. You had 6'3" Devontae Parker, 6'6" Mike Gesicki, and they gave up 3 plays of 34 or more yards to Devontae. What happened?
We saw in those plays at the moment of truth, Devontae Parker just went up and made a play over whether it was Ron Darby or Jalen Mills. You know, I look at those plays, I don't necessarily think scheme or coverage necessarily was bad in those instances. You're right there, and in this league, there's going to be times when you're right there in a 50-50 ball, and you got to go up and either knock it down or that guy is going to go up and make plays. The problem in the defense is that I think when the ball is there at the moment, that you're not in a good position. It starts with having that confidence that you're going to be able to get your hand up there, knock that ball out of there, and not be called for PI.
John, there's a reason why we're seeing so many big receivers around the National Football League.
Yeah.
For just the things that we saw in Sunday's game. The play that Gesicki made in the back of the end zone, he's just a 6'6" guy, and it's a high ball, and you're going to throw it up, and these guys get over the rim, and they make plays. There's value in having big guys going against smaller guys in the National Football League, and we saw that on full display in that game on Sunday.
So what do the Eagles' defensive backs do this week coming into this Giants game? Get the technique a little better with that.
Well, I think one of the things you have to be in position at that moment of truth, you have to be in position to go up and at the highest point connect with the football. Either take it away from them or at least don't allow them to catch the football. It really boils down to mano a mano in many situations, and you have to outman the other man.
And here's another technique, right? As Mike is a receiver, and if I were shorter than him and he's going up to catch that ball, here's what they're teaching the shorter DBs to be able to do. If you can't get it at his highest point, when he's going up to get it and bringing it in, bring your hands through there to be able to knock the ball out, right? There's some things you can't teach. You can't teach height, right? But you can teach technique, and before that receiver is able to secure the ball into his body, you have to be able to get your hand in there and knock it out.
He had good coverage on you.
Well,
not many
he's not moving.
That was pretty good coverage, but in the moment of truth, things change.
Yeah, right. All right, well, coming up against the Giants, you're going to see a little bit of a different offense than you saw against the Dolphins.
This week, the explosive matchup on the outside is rookie wide receiver Darius Slayton. I remember watching him in Auburn, and he had those kinds of wow plays where he just ran by people with his long, lanky body and explosive speed. He's advanced much quicker than I thought he would as a rookie with the Giants. He's gotten an opportunity to play, and the thing about Slayton is he can take a short pass and score and take it to the house, or he can run by defensive backs with his speed. We're going to see both of those. We're going to start against the Jets. And we talked about him being a little more refined than we thought. This is a really good example. Ultimately, this is just a quick slant. But look at him stick to the outside off the line of scrimmage to create space so he can cleanly catch the quick slant. And then what happens? He just takes it to the house with that great speed. This is what Darius Slayton can do. It's not always about the long pass. It's the ability to catch the short pass, turn it on, and take it to the house. Slayton can do that. But again, he can also get vertical. And this is something that the Eagles corner struggled with last week. So now you're going to see Slayton against the Minnesota Vikings, here aligned on the left side of the formation. Here he's matched against Xavier Rhodes. This is going to be a double move. And Slayton has the speed off the initial move to get on top of corners. You see him do that here with Rhodes. He gets on top of him, Daniel Jones delivers a beautiful throw, and it's another touchdown. So we know that the Eagles are coming off a week in which Devontae Parker really hurt them on vertical routes outside the numbers with big plays. Slayton is more than capable of that, but he can also beat you on short throws where he can turn it up and run. So Darius Slayton is the #1 weapon on the perimeter that the Eagles defense, particularly corners Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby, must stop this week. The last thing you want to do, particularly early in the game, is give up big, long touchdown plays.
Yeah, the Eagles, of course, gave up some big plays against the Dolphins, but they're facing a rookie quarterback with the Giants, Daniel Jones, and the Giants are known to turn the ball over. Nobody's turned the ball over more in the NFL this year, and he had 3 interceptions against the Packers. So what can the Eagles' defensive front do to get to Daniel Jones, maybe get him to turn the ball over?
Yeah, they got to get back to getting pressure on the quarterback. They did a nice job of it in the first half against the Dolphins. They'd really been doing a nice job the last month getting pressure on the quarterback. They need to do that against Daniel Jones, rookie quarterback, still gaining experience, hasn't seen just everything as far as blitz packages. And you see here against a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick, Eagles did a nice job of running this blitz, giving a look that they're going to bring extra guys to the right side of this offense, the left side of their defense. And what they're trying to do is they want to get this center to turn the protection there to where he can help out on this 2-man side with Nigel Bradham and Josh Sweat. And the Eagles get exactly what they want. They get the look, they get the pressure on this side. Center certainly is turning back this way. More importantly, Nigel Bradham being able to occupy this guard and allowing Josh Sweat to be one-on-one on the outside here is really why this pass rush works to perfection. They get the pressure on the front side from those guys, and then on the back side, you're getting Josh Sweat coming off the edge. No way for Ryan Fitzpatrick to escape that. Against a guy like Daniel Jones, who has much better athleticism, you're going to need to close down these open lanes that quarterbacks can see, and he tends to escape. I think if they give him these type of looks, you can cause confusion up front. And as most young quarterbacks, they tend to turn the ball over when they don't know how to get rid of it quickly.
And guys on the Eagles will tell you, the toughest guy, maybe the toughest guy to tackle in the NFL, maybe Ezekiel Elliott, but Saquon Barkley is the name that comes up a lot. Yeah. Now, he's had success against the Eagles. Hasn't looked the same this year, but he seemed like he is kind of back in that game against the Packers last week.
Yeah, starting to get healthy. He's one of these backs in the league that combines speed with power. Would you call him Saquad? You see the size of his legs. And he had success in his rookie year against the Eagles. We all got a chance to watch that twice last year. Eagles been doing a good job against most running backs because they gang tackle. And that's the same thing they're going to have to do against the Giants. Can't give Saquon a lot of daylight because he's a guy, once he's in the open field, he's hard to bring down.
Hopefully the Eagles offense can play well again. They scored 31 against the Dolphins, and the Giants are giving up about 28 a game. And can you believe it? The Eagles are still alive. I know it's hard to believe, but if they win their last 4 games, they win the division. And they're all games in the NFC East. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. And if you want more of the X's and O's, check out our Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local tri-state Toyota dealers, a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.